Hello, cousins. Welcome to S.A.S.S, our spirituality and support symposium. Think morning witchy chats around a warm campfire. The recording has started, and by participating in excuse me, by participating in S.A.S, you agree to read and accept the terms of engagement, which I'll post in the chat. We ask that you mute during the recording for clarity during the meeting and for the afterplay. Use the raised hand reaction to share in S.A.S. If you want to weigh in, go ahead and raise your hand and type weigh in the chat, and we'll go ahead and make sure you get your 2 cents in. And when you're done speaking, if you can call on the next person, that would be great. If you don't know who it is, or if you forget, or if it's you're still processing something, I'm the mod today. My name is Ocean, and I have your back. We're going to get started. We have a few announcements, or possibly before we get started. If you don't have any announcements, Jen, I have an announcement. You are muted, dear cousin.
I'm in Oregon. And for those of you that have been joining us on the lives in the morning on Instagram, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with all of you. And we're going to continue to be doing those lives every morning while I'm here. And yeah, it's going to be great. And then there are still tickets available to Rituals and Revelry. It's the spring equinox edition. That is on our website at brightanddark.org under the retreats tab. And there are payment plans available, but that's coming up next weekend. And Whit is going to be flying down this week to join us, Kim and I. She's where I am. Yeah, so that's a big deal. That's happening next week. And then we have Akasha's workshop, the magic of video editing. There are still tickets available to that. It's on the 24th, February 24th. And there are so many workshops. There's so many offerings available. Coming up in March, please go to the website and look at the calendar and look at all of the things that's going on. If you're wanting to expand your practice, we are definitely giving you a lot of opportunities to do that. Yeah, go ahead, Ocean.
That was a beautiful segue. A great way to expand your practice is to expand your awareness of yourself. And to that end, Ezra and I are offering a gender magic deconstruction and application course. It is specifically geared towards witches, but I truly believe that anybody can participate in that and get something out of it. And it's so specifically for well, I lost my train of thought, and I feel like, do you want to chime in, Ezra? Because I feel I get the vibe that you want to chime in.
I'm down to chime in. Yeah, I think it's for everyone, and it's just like a introduction to how to get to know yourself better and how to intentionally put gender, which in my opinion is like just the way of being, that the way you move through the world, and do that on purpose. And so it's kind of like a deconstruction focused thing, but then it also has, ways that you can like it says in the title, like apply it and kind of build up all the things that are you on purpose. And it's a lot. I mean, we couldn't have done it without all of our work at Bright and Dark. So it's a very familiar format and content. And it's just that me and Ocean, as gender fluid individuals, have that specific perspective on it. And so, yeah, I hope we get to see you there. And in the future, we'll probably do it again and again and do various versions of it and stuff like that, because it's a just in the creation of the project, we like over the last year and a half, we both understood our own gender a lot better and ourselves. It's been a really amazing experience, and we're so excited to bring it to you guys.
Yes, thank you, Ezra. That was so beautifully put. I'm so glad that my brain just completely dumped what I was thinking. Um,
You just tossed it to me, that's all. Like you
I know,
started out
right?
great, and then you were just like, pass, here's the ball.
And that is a great example of why we work great as a team. And this course, this gender magic course, is just going to be so much fun. And I will go ahead and toss it to the witches in the literal blanket fort over there.
Well, hi. What's funny is that what's going on in this room is that we are working on making some of the broom box stuff. So we're working on the shadow work, dedication candles, and packaging them together. And so that's happening while we are muted. It's very busily happening right here. And then as soon as it's unmuted, it stops and the energy completely shifts in this space. So it really threw me when when that was happening. Oh, we actually just got back we went down to the river. We were trudging around through snow and moss covered rocks. Is beautiful. Man, and we took video footage of it, so we'll share that with you guys later. But it was such an amazing experience for me because I've been like completely shut in and frozen for months and months and months and months, to the point where I was craving the smell of dirt because it's been so long since I've been.
You got your dirt smell today.
I totally got the dirt smell, and I'm really glad that I didn't get it like all up in my face by like stumbling or slipping. But yeah, it was really great, and I really want to. I'm hinting at Kim like I want to do this like every day that I'm here, be able to get out there and make that connection. Springtime is coming. It feels so great. I try to appreciate all of the seasons as much as I can, like leaning into them as much as possible. But spring has always been my favorite time of year. I start getting this strong urge to hang out and build community and socialize, and it's wonderful. And I love that you guys are a part of it and that we're embracing it in a very intentional way this year specifically. Yeah. By my coming down here at this time, specifically doing the work that we're doing. I've got so much coming through from the like other side of the veil that it's humbling, it's exciting, and like it's already happening. Not to be cryptic or anything, but man, it's really great. How are you guys doing? Like what are your feelings for the year? Or I don't know. I'm just trying to start conversation. For those of you that are new, I'm just starting the flow of conversation. And what we're waiting for is for it to strike spirit in some way in any of us. And once something pings and someone's like, oh, I feel called to share something, or I have something about this, or if you're inspired to ask a question or share a story, that's kind of what we're waiting for. And it could be anything. And it just takes that one witch to be like, hey, this is what I got going on, and then just kind of going through it. We've been doing something really cool, actually. We've been building an altar, working a very, very specific altar. Since I came down, we started it on the new moon, Kim and I together. And it's a terrarium that we're
grab it.
yeah, go grab it.
I'll
We're still building
grab
it.
the terrarium.
But in this terrarium, we are creating our ideal mundane lived experience, aka creating the community that we're building in the physical world in this terrarium. And because we've reached the point that the shop is we're like selling out of things. Kim needs more space. And so Bright and Dark needs to invest in the shop in that very specific way. And so we're considering just, buying property and starting this dream, putting up a big, pole barn and have a place for us to live and create products and things and supplies for witches to support witches in their practice. At least that be the first model of this thing that's on so many of our minds, right? And so what we're adding to this terrarium are things that represent that to us. Can you see it? I think you need to.
Do you need more light
Yeah.
to see
There
it?
you go.
Is that better?
Oh, look. Hey, teamwork. There you go. See how cool that is with all the different things.
So there's so a few of the things that are in there. Obviously, there's a butterfly in there. I have my bright and dark coin.
Sustainable. I'm just
saying that you can
right
put it
now.
I have a thing with threes apparently recently. Threes keep popping up to me, and we found a piece of spell paper when we were cutting the spell paper the other day, and it actually had some of the lettering from some of the paper that I used, and there was threes on it. There is some dirt from the autumnal convergence and some ash in there from the fire, some special stones, some sand from one of my favorite beaches, some moon water from when the puppies were born, some of Mugwort's fur. There's a Powerball ticket in there. There's seeds from my garden, dandelion fluff from the summer solstice in Alaska. Yeah. Oh, there's also a piece of our piece of wood, Akasha and Wit, that is also in there. So that is it.
So we're gonna continue.
Oh, and a key, and a key.
Yeah. We're gonna continue to add to this altar for the full 2 weeks that I'm here, which is from the new moon to the full moon. And so as the moon is getting fuller, we are adding more to this altar and just like letting it charge up. Does that make sense? Does someone have a question? Go ahead. Go ahead and mute. Mute.
Hi. I just wanted to say that I love the fact that I am on the same wavelength as you because it's in my book of spells. 2 weeks ago, I started planning a terrarium and and labeling, the large stones that go at the bottom are the big chunky things that need to happen in order to get this life I want, and then all these other little things. And I just started building it before the live. So I I just want to say I am like so in awe of the fact that I am completely on the same wavelength as you. And that's all I want to say.
I saw
So
a terrarium.
go ahead, Ocean. Sorry. You just saw a
I was
terrarium.
thinking, I was just nobody was talking, so I was like, let's go.
I was gonna say the same. I was thinking the same thing because I was gonna talk about the 333 number because I also keep waking up at 333 in the morning too. Like it's yeah. And that terrarium was a birthday present from a friend. So
The threes are totally aligned with me too. And I saw a terrarium this morning and I thought it would be fun to build one. And I kept thinking about how I would go about it, and it didn't even occur to me to do it as a witch. So I'm glad that this is coming together. And there's three of us that are talking about terrariums too. I want to hear about the three.
I'm totally going home and making a terrarium now too.
yeah, so that terrarium, I've had it since my birthday last year. Kezia gave it to me on my birthday, Ocean. I don't know if you remember. And it's been sitting around and like I didn't know what to do with it. And I kind of had like put some like Halloween stuff in it for like decoration for Halloween. But like a couple days before like Friday or I don't know, before Jen got here, and I was like, I have this terrarium. I was like, I kind of have this idea for this thing, and then ooh, just exploded. But it's a very cool idea for like an altar, so like no one can get like a cat can't get into it. The kids might not mess with it. Like it's a really good idea.
It really is.
It can look like a tiny little fucking fairy world. Oh my
Mhm.
You
god.
can put those little
I
tiny
need to make a
LED
terrarium
lights.
when I get home. So there we are. That's how that we're gonna start a new trend.
Sounds like we already did.
Making little terrariums of your perfect world. What does your perfect life look like? Like a terrarium for how you want to live your life. Like how do you want to spend your time?
It's like it's an in-person representation of it. And every time you see it, you remember that that's your goal and your focus.
Dude, and you could
Just
put
keep
living moss in there and shit and feed it with fucking moon water in a
Mhm.
squirt bottle.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
Oh, and the stick in it is a piece of the curly willow tree from my sacred space outside.
Mhm.
Yep, doing that like ASAP.
Noted.
One of my girlfriends does like clay sculptures and sells them online, and so she's made me a few mandrakes, and I've got like the perfect little nature buddy to stick in there now. I want to get on there and see how I can get it muted so I can just watch and not have sound come out.
This is a totally different dynamic. It feels different.
Mhm.
I'm not complaining. This is my ideal.
Everybody's so quiet.
Everyone is so
is.
quiet and so many people are off camera this time.
Karen, go.
Right on. I can't let the room be quiet for too long. I got my word quote I have to reach every day. I am loving the energy that I'm feeling, and I'm seeing a lot of other people in the group and mentioning it, growth and endless possibilities, and taking a deep breath and diving right into that danger rush pool. And I am so proud of everybody for doing that. And I'm proud to, yeah, right? Great things are coming. And I'm just excited for it. Finally, things are coming to fruition of stuff that we've been talking about for better than a year now with Ezra and Ocean's workshop. And, a lot of hard work that went into that, and I'm excited for it. And with all the new projects that are going on, I'm going to segue over to the coffee house, the Witchy Way Cafe this afternoon. We've got our first meeting for business witches or just witches that want to get their shit together. However it looks, there is no shame in it. We're going to take over the world one way or another. No witch left behind. So, that's at 6 o'clock Central this afternoon. Do the math yourself. in the say in Witchy Way Cafe in the Common Grounds area. And yeah, let's just talk about what we have going on in our own lives and how we can help inspire and support each other into taking the next big steps. And that's all I got, I think. I mean, it's nice here and the weather's good. New moon's exciting. Other than that, man, I just want to be someplace where I could just get on my little golf cart and swing over and pick up Ocean on our way over to Kimberly's. We'll wave at Whit and Rick on our way past. We'll see them later on tonight because we're barbecuing at their place. That's you said what is the dream? That's it. All that close, and just be careful because Heather's kids are running all over the place, and so watch your golf carts. I love you, Heather.
We were talking about those little like dog driven chariots with all of these freaking Arctic dogs we've got running around in the community. They love to pull, like love, and that would be awesome. Can you imagine like walking, doing down to the lodge, and then here comes this like what is a bunch of chariots? A pack of chariots? What is a bunch of chariots called?
School?
Like a bunch of trouble.
Yeah.
Bunch of freaking Arctic dog driven chariots. Oh my gosh.
Sweet. We'll have to have cool helmets. It's funny, I'll get like busy and with the kids and get kind of wrapped up and stuff. So a week or two will pass by and I kind of don't know what the vibe is. I just like come in and figure it out. And I love that it always lines up. Transformation is on the horizon this year.
Go ahead, Sam.
Hi, I'm not sure if my sound is on, and forgive me if it seems to be cutting on and off, but I'm new and I've been doing this the first time I've ever spoken, so I'm a bit of a nervous wreck. But I've been doing the foundations for about 2-3 months, and I didn't realize until recently that Sacred Space was also for new foundations members. I kind of felt that it was for more seasoned witches, and I'm definitely a baby witch. But so in the last couple of months, I've sought advice from my 1 or 2 closer friends who I trust and who are definitely on different journeys to what I am, but they have my best intentions at heart. And I've found the advice to be detrimental, negative on both counts with both close friends of mine. And so anyhow, I attended Sacred Space this past week, and I just feel I really have found my people. Like I wish I'd done it sooner, because I realized that is the space for me to seek advice. And it was just so wonderful to see newer people as well. It's a very diverse group of people, and I'm just blown away by the level of intelligence and authenticity. And I just want to thank you all. I finally found my voice. I'm of an introvert, so hopefully I don't clam up for the next 3 months again. But I just want to thank everyone. I'm so enjoying it. I'm seeing such growth, and you're all a phenomenal group of people. I'm very, very happy to have found you. And that's all I got.
To be clear, like if you're allowed to engage however you feel comfortable engaging. We love it when you let us in, when you let us help and let us share our perspective and our practice. And we love that you guys find it helpful. But some of us, we need time for our systems to process this shift in perspective. And so there isn't any pressure to be like vocal and engage like in this way. And sometimes there's this ebb and flow to our engagement. And sometimes what happens is we feel like, oh, well, if I don't engage, then I shouldn't go because I'm not lending anything, I'm just taking. And that's a trap we don't want anyone to fall into, right? We want you guys to like just come as you are, even if you're not even prepared or anything. Just being in that space, especially like sacred space, is for like it's geared mostly toward brand new witches and those that are just starting out in this. That's what it is. And those of us that have done foundations, we've done the working several times through, we us coming back to the sacred spaces and sharing our perspectives with brand new practitioners or practitioners that are just stepping behind the veil, that helps our practice too. It helps us be able to reconnect to the parts of ourselves that were in that transitional space. And when you're all up in it, your perspective is different. That's why we encourage the After Dark witches to come back to those sacred space meetings and share their perspectives like this, because man, it really, everybody wins in that kind of dynamic when you're just like sharing authentically and sincerely. So thanks, man. Welcome home. Let's do it. And anyone can share.
I wanted to ask Karen when I'm not sure if I missed it, when the like business witch stuff is happening. Because that has been,
Today,
it's happening today.
yes, at 6 o'clock this afternoon. It's in the cafe. There's a spot that says pending cool name because we're going to talk about what we're going to call ourselves. But
Okay.
that's the space in there. And I try to get better. I'm going to get better. I'm getting better about making notifications. Yes, I will never be a Maria, but then who among us is? There is nobody but Maria. So, but I am going to try to be more, but it's informal. Hop in this afternoon, 6 o'clock Central Time. And if you have just ideas on your life on how you want to get your basement cleaned out or how you want to start a business in your basement, we're here for
Cool.
get those
I can't
projects
come
going.
tonight. I'm going to a musical, so but I will come. I will come the next time because that's very highlighted for me. Like I've had a lot of different, taps that I need to be following through. Like I've done some things and followed through on a few different aspects of like my art, and obviously we're doing the workshop, which is a big part of it. But also with like my degree that I just ended up like a month and a half ago, like choosing and everything, like one of the electives I'm going to have to take is like an entrepreneurship thing. So it's like literally it's like everything is like tapping me about it. And it's really funny too. Maria recommended this book. I didn't mean to say your name like that. I don't know why. like but like you linked this book called Gemini Witch, and it's so funny. I was talking to Ocean about it last night, and I was like, how much sometimes you don't, like, you're here and you're looking out, and so you see all the things that like that are cool and that you want to do and that you wish like you were better at and like various things. But then like you're here and you're not looking at what you are. And so like, and sometimes we make it like harder for ourselves than it has to be. Like we have this idea that it has to be hard in order for it to be like legitimate. And so now that I'm doing like a communications degree, it's like I thought I was kind of taking it almost like on a whim because I wanted to take a couple of the classes that were in it. And I didn't know what else I wanted to do. And now like the more I read and write in this context, I'm like, oh, like communication, like Gemini, like there's a reason why this is like so aligned for me. And I thought like, oh wow, this is just like really easy and like fun, right? And apparently almost nobody else in the class is like actually enjoying like writing about law and ethics communication practices and like and how how to do research and all of this stuff. And so it's just like aligned with my brain. That's why it feels easy. And I had this idea that like things had to feel hard and like and it's just funny like the way that sometimes think like you don't look at yourself. It's almost like every time I keep on asking, I keep on having revelations, right? And then I'm just like, oh, I wonder what the next thing, because I feel like now I know everything. And then, so I'm interested to know like the next thing that I didn't realize I didn't know. Yeah. And then just like a little thing happens like that, and then and it just keeps on like tumbling to the next thing. And then I'm like, now I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Communications, like being a Gemini is clearly like much more important than I thought about my about myself. And then now I'm just like, okay, I wonder what the next thing is that I just like never thought to look at and like should have been kind of obvious, but I couldn't see it because I was looking out instead. Yeah. Let's see.
I know Jen Lee has their hand up. I just wanted to jump in real quick, Karen. There might be a couple witches in here that don't know what the cafe is. If you want to give your
Hi,
pitch.
I'm Karen, your witchy bitchy barista from the Witchy Way Cafe. We are not affiliated with Bright and Dark, but we are usually aligned as fuck. So I'll put the link for the Discord in here, and yeah, come on over and check it out. The video chat areas are at the bottom of the screen, the common ground, the chat area in there that we hold all of our meetings in. So here we go. Put the link in there. And I just have to add this. Chantel, do you surf? Because I've in my dreams, I've surfed with you twice and it's fucking me up. So just thought I'd put that out there. Oh, Jenny Lee, go ahead.
Okay. So I went to New Orleans a couple of weeks ago and I had a really good time. I've always loved New Orleans, but this time was different because I've always been kind of a broom closet witch and always felt apprehensive going into metaphysical stores, not knowing what I was looking for, not knowing what I was looking at sometimes. And I've always felt like, should I be here? Is it okay? That kind of thing. But this time I was kind of wandering around. The other girls were looking at paintings and whatnot. And I wandered into this little store, and literally a hole in the wall metaphysical store. It is so long. It goes like back an entire block, but it's really narrow. And I went in and I was just kind of looking around, and I suddenly felt so validated being in there. I felt like you know what? It's okay that I'm here, and I feel good about being in here and knowing what I'm looking at, and knowing what I'm, looking for and those kind of things. And the proprietor came over and she said, "Hey, can I help you find anything?" And I was like, "No, I'm just kind of browsing, waiting for my friends." And she said, "Well, you belong here, so it's all good." And she just went away. I mean, she literally disappeared, and I was the only person in the store. And when the girls came back, they came in the door and they all just stayed right there at the doorway. Nobody came as far as I was. And I came up and I said, "What's up?" And they're like, "I don't know, the store feels weird." I'm like, "It does?" And so, okay. Well, I was talking to my sister-in-law who I went with, and we were talking about some of the stores we'd gone into. And she said, "You know that store you were in?" She said, "It felt like there was like a static curtain." And I said, "Okay, well, I didn't feel that at all." She said, "Yeah, I noticed." So I just wondered if anybody else has ever felt like that, like if you go into a place and you feel like you don't belong, um, or if you go in a place and you feel like you're totally embraced. And it was literally a physical feeling of, I want to be here. I love this place. This is great. And the girls were completely put off by it. It was just so weird to me. And I guess I had never really noticed it before, but I always felt fine going into metaphysical shop. I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing, but they literally physically felt like they weren't supposed to be there. And I did not get that feeling at all. So my question is, has anybody else experienced this? Has anybody else, had anything like this go on, or what are your thoughts?
Okay. Pretty sure that shop had a ward on it.
Yes.
And I definitely have times and feelings where I'm going to use just a party as an incident of walking into a party in a place and being like walking into a house. And even though I know people there and I'm like, okay, this is cool, but this house feels funky and I'm noping the fuck out. And I will turn around and just walk out and leave because I'm just like, this does not, like, it doesn't feel okay. And then I've had instances where just like that, where you walk in and you feel like you're at home. So to Jen.
Yeah, no, that totally sounds like they had a word on the shop.
For sure.
Just for like compatible like energy, or for to like attract their kind of people, right? And it's so funny that, I mean, clearly your friends are sensitive because they could feel the ward, but that's
Yeah,
sorry
it
to
was
sorry, not sorry to laugh, but that's the best like description of a word I think I've ever heard.
Literally perfect.
Yeah, it was really funny because they literally walked in and up over the step for the threshold and stopped. And I don't think anybody but Stephanie got more than 3 steps into the store. It was the weirdest thing. Let's see. Maria or Ezra? Maria.
Sorry, when I'm on my phone, it's like I press it and the thing pops up and then it goes back down and I have to do
Yeah.
that anyways. So it was funny because we were just on the Instagram live today. We were talking about one of Kim's dogs, who like apparently doesn't bark at witches, but barks at everybody else. And it was just like kind of reminded me of that type of a thing. And Heather said something about like a lot of times, witches, we don't like enforce our like we respect boundaries even when they're not spoken. We can just like sense them. And so I just feel like it's, kind of like along to those lines, like the ward or slash boundary, but obviously you were like the vibe, you passed the vibe check. So, and like, your friends too, like obviously they were kind of sensitive to being able to feel that. So that's kind of cool. That was like just an overall, I think, really cool experience to have. I agree with Kim. I've definitely like walked into places and, you know, you just sense like the energy is off, or you like feel like, yeah, like this is totally my vibe. I just feel like, you know, with listening, because I'm on the back end of Bright and Dark and like see a lot of questions that come in, and it's like people, you know, people not recognizing, I guess, gifting sometimes, or like how they're like looking for something that's a gifting and it's just like right there, like in front of you, or like expecting it to be like some grand gesture of a gifting. And like, so what you were saying just kind of reminds me of that. Like, it's so much like that is the normal to me, you know, like that is like the day to day is like having these things happen. But it's interesting when like we don't always recognize them as like part of our giftings, like being, you know, feeling into those things. Yeah, that's all. That's what's in my brain. Ezra, thank you.
What this reminded of for me is that something like a month or two ago, I was like on a mission to like go to a lot of different indie coffee shops, and just try to find like as many like, you know, privately owned ones as I could. And I ended up going to this one that I'm pretty sure was like a front for the mob. Because I went in there and like, first of all, like the front of it, like the windows were like covered in that like paper, like that, like they'd almost like they'd put something up that had the Armenian flag up so that they could see out but no one could see in. So that should, and then like there were two people out front that were like, what is this person doing here? And then when I walked in, there was just a single table with four older men all smoking cigars at the table. And I like walked in and I didn't want to like, I immediately was just like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. And but then I just like was like, but I'm not doing anything wrong. And the guy like, and so I was just like, hi, you guys. And then I got a coffee there, but it was just like all they had was just little shots of coffee. And like so I just got like a little shot of coffee because the guy that was doing it behind the counter was just like, coffee to go. Yeah, that's fine. And so I don't know, when you brought that up, it reminded me of that because I've never, like, there were places where I felt awkward, but usually I feel like I can like break the tension. But the whole time I was sitting there waiting for my coffee to be made, it just felt like they were waiting for me to leave so that they can continue whatever conversation they were having. And yeah, so, and there was like no decorations in this place whatsoever. It was just like this dark room with only them in the center of the room. But yeah, and then so that was a funny story that it reminded me of, but also it made me think about like when you were talking about like the idea of something we're like not supposed to touch or something, like I was asking about like people's fear of bugs at some point, and most of the people that I've asked end up saying they're just like, I just feel like an aversion, like I can't go near it, like I'm not supposed to touch it. And like when I was asking my brother about it, I kind of like did like a deep dive into like why he feels that way about spiders specifically. Like he has a bunch of dreams about spiders. He's like sending me videos about spiders all the time. So there's something there for him. But he was just like, well, I guess like I don't want to hear it crunch. Like he doesn't want to like hurt it essentially, like, you know, and so his fear ultimately is about, you know, harming it. And also like there's something also like about feeling it as well. Like there's like the hairs on your arms stand up. And it just made me think that there are some feelings that we get that we're like not supposed to touch something. And I think for me, it kind of feels like maybe that's something that the animal is or bug is trying to communicate with us, that fear is like coming from them like not wanting to be crushed or touched or something like that. And that we're getting that feeling because that's a way that like feelings are communication. And that's probably a lot similar to like it makes me wonder if that bug or animal is like giving off a vibration of don't touch me. And so we're immediately like, oh gosh, I can't touch that thing. Is that, if that makes sense? I think it feels like there is a something we don't recognize that is communication happening there, and we just like think we're scared, if that makes sense. But I think Chantal.
Hi. Hang on. Hi. Good morning. It's very early here. I'm weighing in because obviously this is about some sort of fear that I need to deal with. Feels like calling me out about the ocean. Thanks for that. And then fear. I'm a type of person who usually goes towards what I'm activated by. Usually it's a draw for me. The ocean is a funny thing. Everything about the depth of the water absolutely terrifies me. I don't know what's there. I don't know what's coming. I can't control it. I'm not at home. And yet it keeps coming up for me. Balance the water, ride the wave, go with the flow. It's a continuous kind of thing that you're right, Ezra. I do, well, like fear. We need to look at it, I guess. But for me, I wonder if I see too much of myself there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that I don't identify with it. It's maybe that I do, that I see too much of myself in it, in the thing that I'm scared of. Am I mirroring, or am I supposed to see something of myself in there? I guess. I don't know. Thoughts, Maria, please weigh in.
Could I say something real quick, Maria?
You can say it long if you want.
I have the same feeling about the ocean, Chantal. I just wanted to say, like, I remember, like, one of the scary, like, the most visceral, like, fear feelings that I ever get is whenever I see, like, storms on the sea, and it's like they just, like, the waves are as high as skyscrapers. I'm like, if I was on that boat, I would just die of a heart attack, I feel like. Like, that's just what it feels like in that situation. But at the same time, when I'm like, I'll often imagine like calm waves, like taking things away from me, like if I'm like kind of releasing them. And so it is like kind of like that dichotomy. And I think you've got something there too, because I often think about how often we are scared of things that remind us of ourselves, like very deep down. And like we all came from the ocean. It feels like, it feels like that is so deep. It's like the same feeling you get from space. It's like the same feeling, it's, I was going to compare it to something else, but I can't remember. But it feels like so deeply, it's almost like the uncanny valley feeling, like, oh, that's me. I'm looking at, and I can't quite comprehend it, So I think you're totally right. Maria.
Okay. So along these lines, this is where I've been thinking about for longer, but it's pinging me been a couple of days since S.A.S.S actually. And oh, sorry, maybe you can't. Sorry, I might have been blocking my speaker. Oh no, I'm not, because I'm on my headphones. Sorry, you can put my phone down. Okay, ADHD, woo! Okay, so hi, this is me unfiltered. How are you doing? Okay, back to what I was saying. I want to talk about manifestation. So you just know that's what I'll talk about in my ramblings. So I've been watching a lot of videos that come up, and I know because it's because of the algorithm, but I do get these videos popping up with like very specific topics that like I was thinking of. And I don't know if y'all follow Bashar. And whether you like agree or don't agree, like totally cool with me. It's just like some of the messages that they share, I like resonate with deeply. And so like when I feel like I resonate something, like when someone says something and it sounds familiar or it feels like remembering, or they say something and I feel excited by it, like joyful by it, really excited by it. So Bashar, there's a general, I think he's a male presenting person that channels Bashar, this like I think galactic entity, and also like that whole story is also interesting about like that version of how humans are here. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, it begins with an A, Anunnaki people. I think I might be saying that right, but that's very cool story. Side note, side quest. Back to the main point. So talking about fear, and it's like how we engage in these sacred spaces, which is amazing. And really over the 2 years has kind of taken me from coping, like being able to cope, because I learned a lot of those coping skills from other people and therapy, to then like the healing. But my what I've been thinking about in this year of the dragon, I think it's like this yang energy, like this real, like we're in this like real momentum for like big shifts, is like shifting from just from the coping that I feel like is coping from like, and it's important to like feel those feelings and acknowledging those feelings and like feeling them in your body, and doing that work is important. But how am I wanting to get over the other side to some of these things where like anxiety and fear, it's like feeling them, but not mirroring it. So I'm attracting, the universe is learning how that works was like so fascinating to me of how I feel that it works, right? Um, and so it's like learning that. And it's funny, as I was listening to a video this morning, like my boyfriend was listening to it too, and like just interesting like people's perspectives on it. But it was about like the mirroring. So it's like, and a lot of you may have known this, and I'd love to hear like your thoughts, but when we're talking about like fear and feeling fear, and so it's one thing, it's like we're recognizing it, but when we're like playing the fear over and over, and we're in like the reels, and the universe is saying, okay, like you're in fear, so like here's some more fear, not as like a judgment or a bad thing, because it's like we're mirroring it, right? And so it's like that's really what I've been thinking of, is like this manifestation kind of mirroring situation, and going from interrupting those movie reels into like really making like big shifts. So I'm really manifesting actually what I want, and truly believing with my whole body what I want. That's where I am. Those are my big thoughts for the day, and hopefully that made some kind of cohesive sense. What do you think?
I think that you're amazing. I love your perspective. And that I feel like I am also in a similar space, that like I've been pretty much during the winter, I was cultivating clarity. I was like, I really wanted to be more aware of myself and aware of how, of my intention and my impact. And those two words have been coming up for me so much lately. And it's so fun to uh sort of see how they affect each other when I am being intentional. Um and there are there's just a lot of, I feel that hurriedness, but I keep thinking about the word excitement too. And it's like, it almost feels like as soon as I become aware of something, I panic that I'm not already an expert at it. Like as soon as I become aware of like, oh, I'm interested in that, and I would like to know everything about it immediately and already be really good at it, like whatever it is. And I feel the same way about my spiritual path. It's like as soon as I become aware of something that I'm um wanting to go towards or do, it's uh like I feel like it goes straight to shame, like I am like in my own way, or I am um the problem, hi, it's me. Like that always comes up, and I'm starting to shift my view of myself as the priority rather than the problem. And I'm trying to view myself as like this little like creature like thing that I'm like building like a habitat for, and how do we enrich the creature today? Like just treating myself as if I am like, I know that a lot of people akin to like pets and stuff, but I don't really feel like one of my pets. Like I just, it gives me, because humans are so weird. Like if you think about us as like just like biologically compared to like other animals and stuff, we're so fucking weird. Like we do such crazy things because of the way that we react to our emotions and stuff. So it just kind of feels like we're in a little creature that just like has way too much uh I don't, I want to say care, but it doesn't feel like care. It feels like it's like investment in the little like the games that we've built up for ourselves to play. And we forget, like I Ezra was literally just telling me this last night, and it's coming like right back up, and I love it, that it's like we build these little like games and enclosures for ourselves, and then we convince ourselves that we're trapped within those enclosures, and that we can only operate by the rules that we set in place when we set that up. And I think that's why loopholes and like questioning things and how like I push back on rules to see how bendy they are like a lot of the time, because it's like testing out a playground. It's like, can this handle me? Can this hold the weight of what I'm bringing to this, you know? Um yeah. Uh Go ahead, Maria. No, Wit. I'm sorry, Wit was first.
Hello. Yes to everything Ocean said, and I absolutely love and I'm probably going to steal it from you that I'm the priority instead of the problem, like beautifully said. Um, Maria, one thing funny that you brought this up because it's something that I'd been thinking about as well for like the past, I don't know, few months of like, okay, so I know how to feel my feelings, I can release them, you know, what could I do differently too, or like what's next, you know? And I've been working on transmuting the feelings now then, instead of um, like necessarily some of them I'll release, but others I'm working on like how can I transmute this to the feeling signature or to use that to help power some of my manifestation as well too. Um, and so uh, yeah, that's kind of where my brain had been leading, or where my thoughts and musings have led us to like, how can I be use some alchemy here to attract, use my feelings to attract the things that I want and help them, help let them help me get there. And that is my Wow, that sounded way more elegant in my head, but there you go. I said it. Back to you, Maria.
First of all, I love how I point where people are, like as if you know where they are on my screen, but that just happens. Sorry, I was mid cookie. So what I think is interesting, one of the things I'm just like trying to recognize is along the lines of what you were saying, like, okay, I've been doing kind of the shadow work. And those of you that are new to shadow work, initially it's a lot about just kind of like identifying feelings, where they are in your body, feeling the feelings and letting yourself feel them and kind of move through you. And, practicing staying in the present, like the REAL and not the movie reels we play in our mind. But where I think is like a little bit challenging for me is like when Ezra was talking about fear, and even the fear from the spider, like that's okay. So that's great. That's information. Like fear and anger have purpose, right? Like if I was being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, I would need fear to kick in so I could get away, right? Or if I was being harmed in some way, I would need fear. And it's messaging my body and my brain that is like, that's great. And then it's like what I'm finding is there are these, where I've had the neuro pathways connect, like we have a big audit every 2 years. And if you just say audit, I become anxious. Like you just have to say the word. And my body's like, oh, audit? Okay, we're going to be anxious. We hate this. This is terrible. You don't like doing this. All of that stuff. And I'm like, okay, so this is interesting because I understand that I might feel a variety of emotions throughout the day as a human being. And I like kind of recognize that as it's also like a tool for information, a sense of information from others or from myself. But then these long-standing situations, and I know that I don't want to continue to mirror this. I don't want more of it. I know that I want to change it, but I'm continuing to like be in the movie playing that loop in my mind. And so this is kind of what I'm like in the process of working out. And I think it's just interesting with some of our like deeper rooted shadows or the the deeper those the pathways in our brains that I'm trying to reconnect in other ways. And I know that takes a bit of sorting out time. And I recognizing it is wonderful. So like I could start to kind of work on that. But it's interesting. And I was also listening to one of my other mentors, and they were talking about that a lot of these beliefs that we have about things, and like a lot of times those happen in childhood, like before, maybe like some people think before the age of 7, and then like we are just kind of interacting with like that this is belief. And then I've hardcore been exploring like what is truth, like what is true, really, what is true. And if you go down the rabbit hole that I've gone down, like not much is actually hard truth, not much, right? Like I exist, okay, that's a one truth. But like, so maybe there's a couple like really solid truths in the universe that you can't, like, that are just there. But when we like and I'm coming out of, okay, just so like you get a bit, oldest daughter, traumatic childhood, like was the responsible one, was the one that takes care of everybody. I follow the rules. And so that was what I believed about myself. That's what I thought made myself me. And now I'm like, no, that none of that is me. I don't even want any of that. I'm grateful because I learned a lot, and like why I'm good at sending out reminders, like some of that comes from that, like some of that. But the parts that I like that I would like to keep. And there's a whole lot of it that I don't. But like exploring that idea of what is true has really got me thinking, like, and a lot of times like I hear, people talk, well, like I'm this person and in my family, and if I wasn't, like, everything would collapse. But really, would it? Like, what would happen? And like, what do you want? Like, because that's really the only thing at the end of the day that matters, like, you, like your relationship with yourself, as first. And like, what is it that you want? And like that to me is kind of like this process of reaching alignment and trying really connect with that higher self, that a lot of these things that we worry, maybe that I've worried about or thought were like that I put a lot of weight on that cause fear and anxiety, I'm finding are actually not even true. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? I've been like, but anyhow, it's been a journey. And so I just like, and it's really just this whole thing and what other people have been saying and things that have been, whether it's something on television or the internet or a class or whatever, it's definitely like coming up. Thank you for that space to share that. And let me see who's next. Let's see, it looks like Ocean is next.
Hi, so I love the questions that you are asking. They're so fun. These are things that I think about a lot. I wrote down some notes that I would love to share. So you were talking about manifesting and how to go about applying the feeling signatures that you're collecting. And the way that I find it the most easy and most effective is what we're already doing. By talking about it to people who care about you and want to support you on your path, by talking to them about the feeling signatures that you want to manifest more of, the circumstances that you want to manifest, their energy will support you even if they physically can't support you, is what I believe. Like I talk about the spa a lot, and that's why I talk about it. That idea has been evolving over time since like for I want to say like 5 or 6 years now. It's just been evolving. But every time I talk about it and I bring that feeling signature of like, I want to create a space where witches and community leaders and community healers can go to heal and to have space held and to be cared for and nourished in the way that they care for their communities, and the like do out in the community doing the hard work, and just such an inclusive space is just what I'm picturing. And I can't wait for the day that I can share that with you all, truly. Another note that I had was that we tend to focus on the fear, and because attention is magic, you're still, in my perspective, focusing on the audit, even though that's something that you have to go through, and dissecting the feeling signature from it and understand the why is a distraction from the manifestation energy, because you're not dissecting why you enjoy something. You're not dissecting why you want more of the feeling signatures that you're trying to manifest. But we focus a lot on dissecting the fear as if that's going to make it go away. But again, if attention is magic, then where we're putting our focus is what we're going to grow more of. Go ahead, Ezra.
I love this question too, like, because I think that's a big part of like the manifestation problem that people often like get like hung up on or stuck on, because we do need to feel our feelings, but also if we like ruminate on them and we stay in the reels, then we're, bringing it back. And one of the things, like, I got a couple of like questions that came up, was like, what does your body believe the fear is doing for you? And like, if you allowed yourself to feel peace instead of fear, like, what do you believe is going to happen? Like, if you were to feel peace instead, do you believe that you won't be prepared? Like, that something is going, like that something, the universe is going to let something happen that if you were scared instead, it would turn out better because you would be like prepared, right? And I think like, and that's one of the things that came up in the shadow work for me too, was like how hard it is to have like consistent trust in the universe, especially when you've been through things that like to your brain is like, that's proof that something can't be trusted, and so it's like, that's kind of, that is the question, right? Like, if how do you keep trusting? Like, because I even like believe that like the universe is made of love, and that like really beneath all of like anger and fear and everything, there's just like this big feeling of love at the source of everything. And even though I believe that, and I have believed that for a couple of years now, I still, my body still wants to revert back to fear, like more often than I like anticipated. Like, I think I'm past it, and then like all of a sudden it will come back, and I'm like, oh, why did I suddenly have that like big reaction over this small thing? That and I'll try to investigate it, and then I'm just like, oh, it's because I didn't trust like the people around me or the universe, or and because people around me are also the universe. And so like the one of the things that I really just try to do, and I listen to Bashar too. Like, I really like am touched by a lot of the things that he has to say. And I also, believe that it makes sense to me that an intergalactic being would tune into our brain channels before ever making a physical appearance here. So like, that just makes sense to me. So it did take me a long time to like come around to that idea, but it just, there's either way, it just makes most of the stuff that he says like makes a lot of sense, especially when it comes to from like a manifestation place. And one of the things that I remember him saying was like, if you aren't acting on something, you don't really know it. Like, there's something else that benefits you more than knowing the thing that you're claiming to know. So like, if you know that like the fear isn't going to do any good, right? Like right now, or it's not the reality you prefer, you don't like at your core know it if you're still feeling afraid. Like, there is something like about the situation that you believe having fear is going to be better in the long run, type of thing. And working through that stuff is very that's what we're doing. Like, that's the whole thing. And one of the things that's been interesting like for me is that like the feeling of, I'm just trying to think about things that give me peace and that feel like justice and love and like the way things that I would prefer to be. And I'm just trying to hold that feeling signature as much as possible. And then another part of the manifestation thing is like releasing expectations about what that looks like, which is another hard thing to do when you have like, when you've been taught that controlling what things are going to look like is the safest way to go forward. Because and that's like, I mean, it makes sense that our brain is doing that, like, because we literally have a history that says things are safer when I control them. And so it's just like that whole like just letting go and trusting the universe like situation that we're all in. I think all of us are feeling that. So that's why I love it. Love this kind of stuff because it's just so relevant to everything that's happening going forward. One of the things that it brought up for me was that like I'm very like I mean, I've always been like very anti-war. Like as a kid, I was just like, that doesn't make any sense why we're doing that. Like, and I even grew up like in a military family, and it just like didn't it. I was just like, what is going on here? And there's a lot of way, you know, like loops that my brain made around that. And so one of the things that I've had to like that I'm still deconstructing right now is like my fear of war and how like me holding that feeling signature of peace is like I can't force people to be at peace like because that in and of itself is like a you know controlling war like authoritarian idea. Like I can't force people to be happy. I can't force people to you know feel safe. I can't do that. So like I have this for a couple of years now I've had this like personification of war and peace in my head, where I'm putting it into comic form, but it's like slow going. And one of the war character is like a child who's like a wild child who's like constantly breaking things and accidentally hurting people and like and purposely hurting people and like trying to get attention and stuff. And peace and then during this process I had this like idea where war was complaining that peace just wants to get rid of them. Like that's peace's whole thing, is just like trying to get rid of war. And it made me think about like now I'm trying to make an angle of making my peace with war. And I recently saw somebody talking about the feeling signature of peace is like just in this moment accepting things exactly as they are right now. Like that is what peace feels like, is accepting things exactly as they are right now. It's not the absence of all the things that I don't like war. It's me accepting all the things the way they are right now. And and that really struck me, and like it's something I'm still working on, but it felt like relevant. So yeah. Let's see, Jenny Lee.
Something that Maria said really, really drew me in. And I have kind of recently, well, let me start over. Okay, so sorry. Yeah, ADHD brain. I hear you. So growing up, my mom was the most selfless person in the world. She did everything for everybody else. She took care of my dad, she took care of her mom, she took care of us girls. She had her own business. She never made a big deal about it. I mean, she made beautiful creations for people's homes, from scratch. Just, she made beautiful drapes. She made, all kinds of stuff. And all the money she made from her business literally took care of our family. She would have a big drapery job to buy school clothes when it would be that time of the year. Or she would try to get a big drapery job when it was October, November to get ready for Christmas, that kind of stuff. And I grew up thinking that's how you do it. you know, your entire being as the people around you, the people you love, the people that depend on you. And she did that to her detriment. I have never put myself first. Like she taught me, you don't put yourself first, you know, you get what's left. You know, like moms take the last plate at the dinner, you know. And I suddenly have realized that if I don't put myself first, if I don't recognize my importance, I cannot take care of the people that need me. My codependency started with all the things that I learned from my amazing mother. And my depression can go back to those things that I learned from my amazing mother. And my whole life, I now realize, is my mom worked herself to death because she didn't know any better. And she could have had such amazing things, and we could have been happier if she had known that. If she had known that if she's proud of herself, if she takes care of herself, if she teaches her daughters to take care of themselves instead of to take care of everybody else. And so I'm slowly realizing, and you know, Jen Marie was talking months ago about listening to her body and taking care of herself so that she can take care of the people that depend on her. And it's kind of the same thing. I'm realizing now, as a single mom, I have to take care of myself so I can take care of the people that depend on me. And that has been one of the hardest things to realize. And on my witchy journey, it's been the same kind of thing. It's okay for me to take time for myself to be on this journey and to discover this stuff for myself, to make myself happy and to find joy in my life again. It's been so long since I felt actual joy that I could not even bring that feeling to my brain. So, you know, taking care of yourself, manifesting those feelings inside what you do every day is so important. Taking care of your body is so important. Knee surgery, I'm going to do the other knee, then they're going to do my back, then they're going to do my shoulder, because I've let myself fall apart, you know, because kids have doctor's appointments and that's way more important. And husbands have doctor's appointments and that's way more important. And then you don't have any money. So you can only do so much. So it's been a learning experience on a lot of different levels. But I think that if I had not found my place here with Bright and Dark, I would still be on a trajectory of driving myself into the ground. I think if I had not found people who push me to not only be better for the people around me, but be better for myself, which is what I feel when I'm here, is that uplifting feeling, I think, is so important to what we do as a group. Just everything that everybody's been saying today has been, I think we all feel that push. Like Maria said, you know, it's the year of the dragon and we're being pushed. And like you, I fight against that push because it doesn't feel like I should do that. So I'm allowing myself to go along with the push to be more positive and to take care of myself so that I can take care of the things and the people that depend on me. And I'm hoping that this year, no, I'm not hoping. I am expecting this year to be one of discovery and enlightenment and just light bulbs everywhere. And I start to see them and I want to explore them instead of ignoring them. So that's my big expansion for the day, I guess. I don't know who had their hand up first, Maria, I think, or Ezra. I don't know. My phone doesn't let me see who has their hand up.
You're all good.
Should we flip a coin?
Either way is fine with me.
So when you were talking, what you said is very profound. So I just wanted to like highlight that, kind of, recognizing the past, right? And there were things that you've recognized about it and that you do not wish to continue with. And knowing, when we've talked about this before, like the only thing is here and now, right? In this moment. But do you realize that you're a cycle breaker, like breaker of chains, like that, that is what you're talking about, is that recognizing that that belief, maybe was passed down, but you're looking to make a shift, breaking kind of that cycle. You are your ancestors' wildest dreams. We all are. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And yeah, just acknowledging that, amazingness. And at the end, when you said like, when we talk about like that kind of mirroring, that manifestation and speaking that like this is the year, like not this will, right? Like saying it like this is. And that way we're kind of embodying that, believing that like to our core. And then that's where the universe knows, that's where we give the universe the instructions to meet us at, right?
Right. I've been in my meditations, I've been really trying to use I am, I will, those kinds of words in my meditations, just to help me remember what I need to manifest daily. And it's really helped. I mean, it's made a huge difference. I did not realize how dependent I was on making sure everybody else was okay until the last year or so, and trying to figure out how to not be my mother and not end up, in the same situations, and to, take some of the stress and some of the other things away from my life. All I had to do was be present and not worry so much about the future and the past, but be present and teach my children to be present with me. I think that's so important. We worry so much about the future for our kids, but if they don't appreciate now, when they think back later, they'll think, all I wanted to do was grow up. I wasn't there for my childhood, because that's the way I feel. I feel like I wasn't there for my childhood because all I wanted to do was grow up and be a mom. So yeah, it's very important, the words that you use. Very important. Ezra?
It was 3:33 when you were talking. I just wanted to say that on the East Coast.
Okay.
Ezra?
Yeah, no, I totally relate to that. My mom was like such a giver, like always doing everything for everyone. And it's been like an ongoing process. And I mean, it still is. I still have to like make sure, because I do like, I think that there's something that is very much a part of me that wants to give care to people. And so, but it's been a process, an ongoing one of me figuring out when I'm doing that on purpose and when I'm doing it on autopilot, because I was like essentially trained to by society and the way that my mom was and like all that stuff. So
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a couple of things that when you were talking, Jenny Lee, it reminded me. So when Ocean was talking and saying that bringing it up here is one of the ways that that we like get through the fear aspect. I think that's so true to me. And I know I brought it up before, but like talking to me is like inherently a spell. Like it is magic in and of itself. And I'm trying to do it more and more intentionally now that I know that. And I think that knowing that it is a spell means that we can make talking about it a spell of release or a spell of continuation, depending on what our intentions are going forward. And I think whenever we bring it up and share the way that we are all processing very similar things, we have like we have a bigger magical brain altogether that is processing it and able to process it faster. I know we've talked about before where it's just like, it feels like whenever we're all together, we are, it's like multiplying, you know, like the processing that you could do alone is just like exponentially higher when you do it with somebody else. And another part that, back to the manifestation, if you say thank you for anything that happens, like whatever you're feeling, even if you're like in fear, even if you're like having a panic attack, even if you're like super angry, like because I've been having to I'm doing like a lot of reading about like terrible things corporations and governments have done like over history. That's like most of the stuff, my homework. And so I'm having to process a lot of anger. As soon as you say thank you shift to a mindset of gratefulness instead of a mindset of anger or fear instead. And that is like an inherently like positive one. Like whenever you say thank you, you're like, it puts you on the receiving end of a gift. And that is the feeling signature that comes through rather than the anger, I think. Like, obviously, you still have to process the emotions, or else you'll be, you know, just kind of oscillating back and forth between the two. But that's also okay. It's like we shift. Like, I believe we shift, like, you know, trillions and trillions of times between universes. And so even if it feels like you know, are feeling a lot of fear right this second, and that therefore you might be in that moment in a more fearful universe, you get like, in the next second you have another choice. You know, the next second you have another one. So I don't think there's really, like, you can't do it wrong. So yeah, I think Ocean is next.
Hi. I really love what you said, Jenny Lee. I think that you're at a really beautiful moment of awareness, and yeah, it makes me think of my own mother, and I would just like to share a perspective um, from from that sort of perspective. So uh, my mother was the person who took care of people and made sure everybody else's was prioritized over her. And I watched it slowly erode our relationship as I grew up, to where I could, because she, no, I don't want to put it that way. What I want to say is that it was hard not watching her, or watching her not be able to have her needs met, until she became resentful of like her role in the family, and then pulled back entirely in order to take care of herself. And so the more support that you can vocalize that you need from your family that you've been supporting, I would encourage you not as a like you owe me thing, but a like, hey, we're family and I need your support, and this is what I need. And I think that's a really great way to participate in receiving. That's the end of my thoughts. So if anybody wants to take that or change the subject. Oh, I'm sorry, Petra. I just saw that your hand is up. Go for it.
There we go. I was like, hello, here's my forehead and my face through my phone. And I was like, my phone's been like overheating this past little while, and in sacred space, it like completely turned off for like the last 5 of the last 15 minutes. So I was just like, I need to be watching this. So it's not plugged in and the light is all down. Anyway. I totally hear what you said, Ocean, and like super agree. I put something in the chat about that, just with boundaries. As a recovering people pleaser, I'm just like, yes, I have to set boundaries if I actually want to stay in a relationship with you, or else I resent you so much I hate you and I never want to speak to you again. Also, I'm Scorpio moon, so like that gets dramatic. Just fine. I'm like, I don't care. But anyway, and it's hard to watch the people we love do that to themselves. There's a beautiful account on Instagram called Consent Wizardry, and they posted this post yesterday, maybe the other day, where it was like, if you can't say no to me, I'm not safe with you. And it like, I was like, yes, because I've had that experience with other people, and I know I've done that to other people. I'm like, dang, all right, this is loud. We're learning some stuff. What I just wanted to share was kind of about the fear piece. I had to like, everyone was talking and I was listening, but I had to do yoga because I felt this like rush of anger in my body. And I was like, let's like move this through before I open my mouth and get real spicy about stuff. Because I'm also very overtired. So the filter is like not totally here. So I was like, I need to do this to preserve connection. I just wanted to be like, I think it's great if the way everything was framed resonated for everybody. For anyone that it didn't, because it didn't all land for me. Some of it I was just like, this feels icky in my body. Why? And that was why I was doing the yoga. I'm like, I kind of need to like move those emotions through so I can figure out what the frick is going on. And I think it's that idea of like, I think there's just a fine line in kind of these conversations, especially when we have trauma, of being like the kind of thinking of like, you create your reality and it's your fault that your life is hard, like that kind of that thinking of like, if you focus on the fear, then that's all you're going to get. And kind of the blame and shame that comes from society, really, about like their lives are fucked up, it's their fault. Like people are homeless because they made bad choices. Like, no, it's capitalism. Like those kinds of things. I think they kind of just like touched a little, like I have such a sensitivity around that. Just, I think because I have such a sensitivity around anything that like feels shamey, which means a lot of stuff, or bypassy really. And that comes from Christianity, my like religious trauma. So I'm like, I just want to acknowledge those things up front and be like, no one said anything wrong. I just wanted to bring in a different perspective because there are parts of it that are really like tender for me, I think. And what I kind of wanted to like bring to the conversation is like, at least for me, what I've been learning is that it's not about not feeling something. Like in trauma work and somatics, it's not about like avoiding any emotion or changing it or not letting it be. It's about being like not getting stuck in it. And I think that that's probably what everyone else was saying, but I was just like, I want to be really clear about that, because it's like being stuck is dysregulation, and that's because our bodies are supposed to flow in and out of things, right? And something that I had to learn in that, because mindset stuff when I first started doing trauma work, because my body was so dysregulated coming off those medications, that made me very dissociated, was like I couldn't change my mind about it. My body was so fucking loud. I was like, cute. What's this mindset work? My brain, my body's not listening to my brain. They've been like not talking for a couple of years, so things are weird. And I instead had to kind of be like, okay, I'm really afraid, or the first feeling of embodied terror I had was like in February 2022. I was like, I'd been numb to that emotion before. I'd never been able to feel what terror felt like. And then I felt it and I was like, holy shit, this is why people have panic attacks. Like, this is intense. And for me, it was learning like, how can I support my body in this experience? Like, not how can I change how I feel? How do I shift it? How do I whatever? But like, how do I be with it? And that felt more supportive for me. That's not going to work for everybody. And I'm not here to tell other people what to do with their bodies. That's like, I want to be real clear about that. I'm just like, if for anyone else, if there's parts of that doesn't resonate, maybe this perspective is supportive. And if it's not supportive, like you all know me, like just be like, fuck it, no. And I will not be offended. And I just also was kind of like, I was thinking as I was processing about this stuff about like, about how sometimes with emotions, like the more we learn and the more that we grow capacity to hold, it becomes less about like not being one thing and being another thing, but instead being like, how do I hold the spectrum of this polarity? Like, you know, I just really was struck with like, for me at least, I don't feel like the opposite of fear is peace or even like calm. Like as a experience in my body, I really do feel like the opposite of that, like feels more like awe or wonder or maybe even courage. And so I wanted to bring that to the table too and be like, maybe a piece of this is sometimes like cultivating, like, how do I hold whatever is in here? Like, you know, yes, I'm afraid. And is there a part of me that's kind of excited, or a part of me that thinks that'll work out? Is there a space in my body where I feel neutral? Is there a space in my body where I feel a little bit excited, maybe for the scary thing to be done, or whatever it is, like, and I just wanted to bring that forward and also say, you know, with everything, I think my brain wants to info dump so bad on all of the neuroscience around which we like.
Right. So show me, how do you get to the answer there?
Nope.
Why not? Okay. So do you do multiplication tables, right?
RL, you came off a mute.
Can we get a mute?
Yeah, but I hope that that multiplication goes. Great.
I was like, wait, what? I'm like, I'm not being asked this question. That's good. Yeah. So anyway, I just was like, I have this urge to info dump all about the neuroscience of like attention and stuff like that, which like, we'll just put a pin in that some other time, because I think that stuff is so interesting. And I think that understanding how our minds and our brains actually like focus our attention also helps to like de-shame any kind of things that we get stuck with, like where we're like, I'm stuck focusing on this thing, and why am I ruminating, and like, why can't I just stop thinking about it? And it helps to understand those things, but I want to be mindful of the time. So I don't know who's next. I think it's Ocean. Yeah.
Yes. Good job. So I wanted to respond because I think that that's a valid feeling, a feeling like it's of your feelings being, of your full spectrum of feelings being bypassed, and that the blame and the sort of like you're being punished, sort of like vibe that that sort of gives off, like when you're coming from a like deconstructing from a deep like Christian perspective, because I also come from that perspective. And I wanted to offer a reframe of what I said, to offer some clarity, if that's okay.
Totally. And I just want to be clear about it. It wasn't even, I think it was even initially when the topic came up and Maria was talking about her own experience. It was just like, there were, because of where I am emotionally, was like these like kind of like, I was like, I'm getting activated, and this is like, you're clearly fine with this. So I just need to process and then be like, these are the pieces that I want to share about how this is different for me. But I still want to hear what you have to say, Ocean. I just was like, just for clarity's sake, because we're all super wildly neurodivergent, and my brain is like, I need you to know exactly what this happened, because it kind of had very little to do with what you said. But I think that like I'm very curious to hear where you're going, and I want to hear what you have to say.
I think your feelings are fully valid, and I am so grateful for you having a different perspective on the topic, and continuing the conversation on it. I do hope that this reframe will give you some empowerment coming away, is my goal. But obviously it's okay if it doesn't resonate with you. That's totally fine. So my note just says it's an acknowledgement that you don't have control over your circumstances, but you're not powerless because you are a witch. Because I think the main thing that Christianity does is take away our spiritual power, or siphons it, is kind of what it feels like more of. And then I love what you said at the end. I just wanted to agree with that emotions are a spectrum, and can be a multifaceted experience. Like usually when people ask us how we feel about something, we just kind of pick the first thing that we think of that we would associate with that experience. But really, like if we felt into our bodies, we'd be like, man, like there's a whole bunch of like ways that I felt about that experience. So I just totally agree with that.
I super appreciate. I just wanted to say that. I was like, thank you. And I do, when you said that, I was like, I don't know what this reframe is going to be. There's a little like, there's a part of me that was bracing a bit and was like, but that was very affirming. And I needed to hear that, because it is that like robbing you of agency. And I think that's why in my body, sometimes I get that like fight response, because it's like, no, like, but it's not really no to like other people thinking other things. It's like little me being like, I am powerful. Fuck you. Like I can do stuff. So I really appreciate that a lot.
You are very powerful, little Petra. Sorry, go ahead, Maria.
Agree. I think that what's wonderful about the community space that we all hold here is like the various perspectives to be able to share them is amazing. And I think that like Petra, I think that I love all the information that you share, and then, you know, the knowledge, and like every time you mention a book, I write it down. I'm like, I just need a reading, a recommended reading list from Petra. That would be fantastic. If you ever want to do that, I'm down. But and like everything you said, I agree with. And I just so kind of where I'm coming from is feeling that I have like processed so much, and that I'm kind of, what I'm feeling is ready for a shift a bit. You know, like I've been processing, I feel like I've been processing for 23 years, essentially, you know, like since I walked into the therapist's office at 20 and was like, hi, I have some things I need to talk about, please. You know, and so it's kind of like just feeling, you know, feeling kind of that shift, and what you said about like kind of getting stuck, and that's like really resonating, you know, as well. And that's kind of like what I'm exploring now, really. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you so much. And Kim, did the group at Kim's want to weigh in? And I know we got just a few minutes left.
I just don't know how to work Kim's computer, and thought that the reactions was, I pushed the wrong button, I'm good. I love this conversation. It's so great. Like, yes. This excites me. This is where expansion happens.
I've literally danced through some of this shit. I'm in love with it.
We've intentionally like kept off of camera because like there's 3 of us in here all reacting, and we don't want to be like center stage right now because this conversation is so awesome.
Yeah, y'all are amazing. My heart's full.
I'm blooming.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Okay, so real quick, somebody sent me a meme the other day that was a beautiful picture of wooded area. It was obviously cold, and there was a waterfall, and it was just beautiful, and it was like the perfect place. And it said, you know, how long before you can be a witch alone in the woods? And I was like, that resonates so much with me. I love this because literally the other day I was, how long before Mason graduates high school can I move to Alaska and build me a hut next to January? So yeah, I mean, literally I am at the point in my journey where I am thinking forward and thinking, how long before I can realize what I was meant to do? How long? And what do I need to do? And how do I get this thing rolling so that I don't have to wait when I have the time? So, yay. I think we all make each other better. That's all I got.
Yeah. That is the big question. That's the big question for a lot of people. Like, what's next? What do I gotta do? And what I'm getting is that you can't go wrong at this point. It's it's already started. The course has already been set. Things have been in motion for a long time. And if you look back at all the shit that has brought you to this point, this really amazing space that for a lot of us, we never thought that we would ever be able to share this kind of like heart space with other people, much less like such a broad like scope of people. And it's just the beginning, and it's only getting better. Like, it's about making the little decisions. It's about maintaining your balance enough so that you can be as present with your life as possible, so that you can make the decisions in the moment that you feel the best about, right? And if that's the only thing that you've like focused on is just that as a practice and just trying to show up as authentically and aligned as you can in any given moment, and bringing your attention to the places that you struggle with that, and giving those places the attention that they need, so that again we can maintain balance, and we make it a bigger deal or a bigger thing than it is. We make it this like, I have to make these huge changes right now. And it's very much a thing that starts within, and it has already I mean, you're already doing it. You're already doing the thing. So on that note, we're about to make all kinds of amazing announcements as usual. Like I warned you guys that we are noticing that it is a pattern of ours that shit gets kind of quiet in the dark times, but then as soon as the sun comes around, this is a season where stuff is happening. And it's been a long time coming. I cannot possibly express how much like hope and they're whispering off camera, and I'm like, oh my God, no. Sensory processing, guys. I hear dead people. I can hear you guys. Okay. On that note, I love you guys. And I'll definitely see you tomorrow morning at the lives on Instagram that we're doing. I think it's so important to connect as community as much as possible, and like set that as like the baseline. This is my reality. I'm hanging out with people that get me and that I can talk to and be real with. So thank you, Ocean, for modding for us today. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your perspectives and being you. Here we go. Ta-da! Hi, guys. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do any of this. I know. It's a mess.
Pure shenanigans over there.
Hysterical.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye, everyone.
Bye.